All right, good evening. Call the City of Clear Lake Shores City Council special meeting order September 20th, 2021 at 6:15. We do have a quorum with Mr. Scanlon, Mr. Cronister, Ms. Leday, and Mr. Fisher present. Number 2, new business. Discussion possible action may be taken on the following items. Item A, extend the declaration of disaster for Hurricane Nicholas until 11:59 p.m. October 6, 2021. So everybody knows that I did enact the declaration of disaster, which is good for 7 days, and it was going to wear out tonight or tomorrow, so we couldn't do it in tomorrow's city council meeting, so we threw it on this here, and this is just to cover us in case there is any type of national emergency declaration where they provide grants or reimbursables. We can go ahead and claim those through all that time, and Mr. Spear and Mr. Harrell are tracking all that information. Yes.
I'll motion to extend the declaration of disaster to October 6th at 11:59 p.m.
I'll second it.
Motion by Mr. Scanlon, second by Ms. Leday. All in favor, or any discussion? Having none, all in favor?
Hold on.
Oop. Huh? Sorry.
Let's go over why. Why do we need to extend this? Galveston County hasn't even declared a disaster.
No, it's just in case anything comes forward for cost, so we can have it covered.
Well, I mean, if the county hasn't declared a disaster, the state hasn't declared a disaster, I mean, how are we going to be able to recoup any costs? I'm not seeing the purpose of extending this until October.
There are other places that were impacted, like in Brazoria County, and other places on the coast, and all of those things are aggregated into a state fund. In talking with the other partners, they didn't anticipate that we would make threshold, but this also allows for me to go ahead and arrange dumpsters, get contractors and things like that to help get stuff out of here, and it speeds up that process under the emergency declaration.
Why would that speed it up? Why can't we, if we're not going to be reimbursed for it, it's coming out of our rainy day fund to do it anyway. Why do we have to have a declaration of emergency to do that?
Well, then those costs would have to come to council individually, because it's not based in the budget. So we're able to go do that and then come back and make a change to the budget at the end.
So again, if we do the emergency declaration, this means that you can clean it up without running any costs through council.
Well, as far as what's needed to clean up the city, correct.
Okay.
That's the purpose of the emergency coordinator and director.
What is left to do?
We have some heavy like tree trunks that need to get picked up. Without getting into a lot of detail, the problem is that the grapple trucks that you normally would use on heavy cleanup are too tall because of our height of our cable and our phone lines. So if it had been a large disaster and it knocked all the poles over and you lost all of those things, they would just come in and pick that stuff up. So I have to try to find a grapple truck that's small. AmeriWaste has one, but it's a top mount and it won't fit. Our Crowder Golf has the correct size. They're the ones that we've contracted with for disaster cleanup. However, if it's not declared disaster for this region, they'll come over and work for us, but we'll pay a premium. There's the economies of scale where they mobilize all of their workers and their equipment when they come over to do that. So they are in Louisiana, and they did have people on the ground here when I contacted them day of the event, but they were evaluating damages. So, but they weren't going to send anybody over to mobilize them. And we are kind of behind the 8 ball because we have to utilize our labor and our equipment. We have a backhoe that's that's old and needs repair. We have that planned in the budget, and then I have 2 public works guys, and so that's it. With Galveston County, they're doing forced labor just like we would, tracking those costs, but then they have the additional equipment to do that. So they have dump trucks and grapple hooks and all that they can send out and scoop stuff up. So I'm in the process of trying to locate a company that either does trees or landscaping that can come in and get our heavy stuff if we can't get it.
So right now, the plan is to use our guys to clean up all the big tree stumps and stuff like that,
Mhm.
that people can't carry over here to the
Correct.
dumpsters.
Yeah, and
Does-
we appreciate everybody's efforts to get what they can to the dumpsters. So, right, I call them dumpsters or roll-offs.
Yeah, some have been able to, one guy rented a tractor and he was able to get it down there. Even though it's not in the city's right of way, the city's taken the side of helping out the residents to get all the debris up.
So if we have the contract
We
with
have-
these guys to use to come in and get it out, why do we need to make a declaration of disaster if we've already got a contract with them? Let's get them in here and get it out.
Yeah, they would have to negotiate a different contract because they're not coming over, they won't come over here just for us on our contracted numbers. It has to be, a larger scale event to have that number. It would be negotiated differently, so those prices would go up.
Brent checked into it, it's a pretty enormous amount, plus you also have to turn on the, monitoring service.
Well, we wouldn't need monitoring if
Oh, that's
it's not a declared disaster. However, if it did become a declared disaster, you would have to have monitoring or declared emergency for reimbursement. You would have to have the debris monitoring, and that doubles your cost. You pay just as much for a group to sit there and watch them load it and track your loads and where they're going and time in and time out, as you do pay the other company that's totally separate under different leadership and owners and all that to pick it up, physically pick it up and move it. So you basically double your cost. But we don't have to do that for this. We need just to get it pulled out of here and on down the road. So I don't have our landscaping company can do it, but they won't be here until the end of October. So that's, they're doing their other things. So I didn't think that was a viable solution. I called and talked to and met with AmeriWaste, and they sent a driver over to review what we had. It's all within their scope of work. They just can't fit their truck here. That truck that they would bring over to grab the stuff and lift it. So our next thing is roll-offs. So we got roll-offs. We had 2 that were pulled today. We had 1 pulled today and an empty one put down, and we had another one pulled. So Public Works has been replaced. We got one behind City Hall now that people are using, and I didn't get down to Shell Bottom this afternoon, but I think it's planned for replacement, pick up and replace tomorrow. So we'll have a total of 5 that we've had in and out. And I think that's pretty reasonable based on the amount of debris that we have when I drove around and estimated with Kevin. So I think we're right on it. We figured about 150 cubic yards, and that would be 150 cubic yards if it all fits.
You're just gonna keep track of all their time, just like you would.
Yeah, it's just real simple. When we complete payroll, we can pull our Public Works employees. My time is not reimbursable because it's part of my job description, so that's it's already a paid cost. And if Kevin has any direct work associated with it, we can track that as well.
So basically, this is just in case.
Yes.
What's your hesitation? What am I missing, Rick?
The declaration of disaster involves a lot of other things other than just standing around just in case. And to extend that to October, I'm not seeing the benefit of doing that. Anything that we're going to have to do now, we're going to have to pay for out of pocket. Like you said, the contract that we have with the people that are supposed to come in and do that, it didn't meet the scope for their contract. So we can get them to come in, it's gonna cost extra to do that. Obviously, we've figured out we don't wanna do that, it's gonna cost too much. I'm just not seeing the benefit of keeping us in a declared state of disaster until October 6th.
But it does allow the city to operate and perform those functions and manage that with its existing budget, so we can change the date to be 10 days or 20 days or but I think we're also at a standstill with our current plans then, if that comes into fruition as of tonight. So that means all the trucks will have to leave.
Why would all the trucks have to leave?
Because it's not a budget item. So when you have a declaration of emergency, you can declare those things underneath the code, the state code, without having to go through all those hoops. That's the purpose of it.
The only hoop you'd have to go through is just do a council meeting, said this is the expenses we have, we need to take it out of rainy day fund, all in favor say aye.
Right, so this is the avenue that I myself as mayor and then the city administrator has recommended, and what we've always done in the past, and I don't know, it's pretty straightforward to me.
Are you able to have the cost by tomorrow night? No?
You can't change the council meeting.
Oh, 'cause it's already
Change the
set.
council meeting in 72
Never mind.
hours.
Yeah.
This is just a special meeting that we were able to put this on. I have no downside to it.
So who has access to that rainy day fund? That has to go through council, correct?
Not with a declaration of disaster, it doesn't, no.
But it has to be used for the part of the emergency declaration.
What if
So you
we
can't
put
just
it,
go buy something, it has to be traceable and trackable to this storm.
what about a not to exceed amount as part of this? Is that something we could amend the motion with?
Did you get any, we didn't even get any prices for it, did you?
No.
Nobody came out and looked.
They came out and looked, but they can't fit their equipment in here, so that's
Yeah.
what, that stops.
So did they
And
change all their
I'll call,
trucks?
I can call Crowder Golf and I'll find out how much it would be for them to come over here. And then I can bring that to council.
Well, so
My
what I'm
report.
wondering now is, since the trucks can't get in, maybe they changed the trucks since Ike or whatever, what do we do moving forward with getting those grappler trucks in here if we had a category 4 or 5 hurricane?
Well, they're built, the high-end trucks are built differently than the ones that they use professionally day in and day out for disaster relief are sized differently, in that the grapple is located, it's usually a big, tall, open truck, and then there's a grapple that's built on a platform behind it, and it sits in between another trailer, basically, that is behind, that's high-walled, that they can put debris into. And when they retract that, they can get it below the top of the box, and they can drive. They're 14 foot tall, so they can drive. The ones that the one that AmeriWaste has is a top mount grapple. So the truck is 14 feet, but then you have another 3 feet or something on top where the grapple mounts, and it hides down behind the truck. So it's too tall to run through the neighborhoods. So Crowder Golf has the right equipment, and I can call their logistics VP and talk to him and find out what it would be to get over here. But I don't think that that's a wise or judicious use of rainy day fund to do that. I think the cost is pretty high. And so I keep...
So what was your solution to getting it out if we don't get a grapple hook?
I'm sorry?
What's the solution to get it out if we don't get a grapple hook?
We're moving it with backhoe and putting it in the dumpsters. We're doing it internally.
Okay, so if we're gonna do it internally like that, well, again, why do we need a declaration of disaster?
Is to be able to bring the dumpsters in.
It's not a budgeted item.
So you're just
For the
doing it for the
disaster.
dumpsters?
Doing it
Right
for
now,
the cost of the-
we're managing it. That's the whole purpose of the city administrator, and the mayor is managing the emergency. That's the job.
I just wanna get it all picked up, just like everybody else wants it picked up, believe me.
Right, I think there was only 1 or 2 trees that were actually in right of way. I mean, so city council could decide to not do anything at all, and people that have debris will remain there. We have a little bit of an issue that they've placed it in the right of way because we've sent out some announcements saying that we're gonna come by and pick it up, being the good thing that we'd wanna do, but if we choose not to do that, then they'll need to somehow either hire their own services to take them out because those trees that fell down are not in our city right of way.
But we have to clear the right of way, so a tree
Right.
that's in somebody's front yard falls across the street, we have to clear the street and clear the right of way, and we don't go up into their yard and remove their tree. They're responsible for that. So I did meet with a resident today that has that scenario. You know, their tree is up in their yard and it fell over, and they said, well, does the city come up here and get this? And I said, no, the city's gonna stop at the phone pole or the power pole. That's in the right of way. So they're gonna contact the tree company to come out and take down 2 trees, or what's left of 2 trees.
So Brent, have we put anything out to the citizens saying this is what we're gonna do?
Yes, it's been on social media. Yeah. We've rolled all that out. In fact, it was probably Wednesday, Thursday last week.
Okay, 'cause I had a couple of people call me yesterday wondering what we're gonna do about the trees, so that's why I'm asking. I saw something initially, but I never saw the plan you're talking about, we're gonna do it in-house.
Yeah, there's
So I
been
didn't see that.
several, 2 or 3 announcements, flash reports that have gone out on the website and on social media. Adri sent them out.
Yeah.
So did we tell them also, bring all your stuff to the street, we're gonna be picking it up?
Well, we wanted to get it out through the right of way, yes.
Yeah.
And we indicated that they needed to make sure that, with probably one of the last messages was to make sure it was, bundleable and,
Yeah.
and
Not all your new,
handleable.
not all your new construction trash, but the storm
Right.
trash.
Mhm.
Some of the stuff I've seen people, if you're gonna bring it out, that's not gonna be bundleable. There's one tree over there on Hawthorne, good lord, that thing must be 3.5 feet around.
Mhm.
You know, those little stumps that they cut, that are
Right.
about 600-700 pounds apiece.
I understand, yeah. Yeah, we're trying to, that's a problem to get it out of here. There's, trees over on Narcissus, that came across and they're smaller than the one on Hawthorne, but they're still heavy and there's a lot of it there, so it's just having to get out there and do it. If I can find a contractor that, has the proper insurance and can come in and has the time, then that's somebody that I would be interested in hiring to get it out of here. So I just haven't been able to find that person yet.
Any further discussion? Having none, all in favor, aye. Any opposed, nay? Having none, motion passes unanimously. Next is item number 2, B, Resolution 2021-06, resolution of the City Council of the City of Clear Lake Shores, Texas, approving a project of the Clear Lake Shores Economic Development Corporation to provide grants to businesses to assist in recovery from damages caused by Hurricane Nicholas. And this is the first reading only. There's no vote on this. No motion necessary tomorrow. All right. Can we discuss any now or no? Just the first reading?
Just had one question. Most of those businesses, they own them. Soul Freak rents. Is that check going to Soul Freak, or is that check going to the owner of the building?
The plan was to go to the owner of the business. I think, Johnny, where you go? There you are.
'Cause I will tell you that Soul Freak did all that on their own dime,
Yeah.
and they got no help from Frank.
No, the plan is to go to the actual business inside the
Okay,
the premises. Right.
okay.
And then, and there's also the criteria for it is that had to have flood damage. So there's other businesses obviously in Clear Lake Shores, and it was also has to be in the town center premises. So it kinda sort of surrounded that whole area. And there's 5 businesses that are affected. Skipper's, Soul Freak, Schaefer's, Okies, and Aspen's. All right, at this time, let me adjourn the meeting at 6:36.